Ciao e bentornati! Welcome back to my channel. This is episode number 10 of Pillole D'Italiano and I think it calls for a celebration. What I want to do to celebrate is something different, something a bit unusual. I want to help you pack for Italy. Well, at the time of this recording is September 2020. We're still in the middle of a pandemic. It's not safe yet to travel back and forth, waiting for a vaccine. And hoping that it will come out soon so that we will all be able to go back and travel safely. I want to help you pack your Italian toolkit. What I mean is that I want to give you a sense of what the essential building blocks of the language are so that you can focus on a few verbs and a few expressions and be ready to go. Being able to mix and match them so that you can create sentences on your own. I personally do not subscribe to the feeding you sentences that are pre-made and you having them to learn them by heart. I don't think it's an effective method. I don't think it gives you any autonomy out there in the world. What I prefer to do is give you guys the foundations and the building blocks of the language so that you know how to conjugate, say, the verb essere, to be, and then you're able to say I am a doctor, or I am happy to see you. It doesn't really matter how you want to use the verb I am, but you know how to say I am. Therefore, in the course of today's episode and the next one, I will be giving you those building blocks, what I think is essential. The essential tools to be able to form your own sentences in Italian. And of course, this is a disclaimer, right? Of course, this is my personal selection, but I am an Italian speaker, native speaker, and I also speak multiple languages and I learned multiple languages growing up and in my adult life. So I kind of have a sense of what is essential as soon as you get off the plane to start engaging people in conversations. With that being said, we're ready to dive in, but before we do, subscribe to the channel so you're not going to miss any future episode. And if you want me to make a personalized video, feel free to leave a comment in the comment section below and I will get back to you and make a video for you guys. All right, where should we begin? Probably the first thing you want to do is to greet someone when you meet that person. It could be a friend, an acquaintance, or a stranger. You definitely know the universal ciao. Ciao in Italian, I'm using it a lot in these videos too. That means hi or hello. It's very informal, so I would not use it with anyone. If you're meeting a family member, a friend, or an acquaintance, sure, feel free to use it at any time of the day. Ciao! As you come in and as you get out. So it's both hi and bye. But if you are addressing someone that you don't know, you're walking into a store or a museum and you just are about to start a conversation or ask a question about anything, you just want to be able to say good morning or good evening, depending on the time of the day. So buongiorno is your good morning. Buongiorno. Literally, you're saying good day. Buongiorno, one word, buongiorno. And good evening is buonasera, buonasera, buonasera. After you greet someone, you might want to introduce yourself. So I don't want to get into the all complicated world of my name is. I would rather start you off with the simple I am. I am Ludovica, right? So I can use the verb to be, the verb essere in Italian. For today's episode, I will just stick to the I person so that you can say I am. The you person, if you're talking to a friend or if you're addressing someone else, you could say you. And maybe the he or she person. I will just stick to these three persons, forgetting about the you guys, we, they, just momentarily to simplify. I'm assuming that you're packing your bags, ready to go to Italy. You don't have a lot of time, so let's zero in and focus on these three grammatical persons. I, you, the singular you, and he or she. So for the verb to be, essere, sono is I am. Hence, as I said before, sono Ludovica. Ciao, sono Ludovica. Now, if you are introducing yourself and someone else who is with you, you might want to say I am, and then say your name, and she is, and say her name, or he is, and you will say his name. For she is or he is, the verb is the same, è. You will just change the he or she before. So lui è, he is, lui è Marco. Or if I have a woman next to me and I'm introducing myself and her, I would say sono Ludovica, lei è Arianna. Lui è, he is, lei è, she is. Now let's assume that you're meeting a group of people and you want to ask one of them, and who are you? Maybe a child, right? Classic question, who are you? You're looking down at that kid and ask, chi sei, who, chi means who, chi sei, who are you? Now that I have these three forms of the verb essere down, sono, sei, and è, I can also use them not just to introduce myself, but to talk about what I do. I am a doctor, I am an actress, I am a language coach. So you can talk about your profession by using sono. Same thing about someone else's profession. Sono una language coach. Marisa è una dottoressa. She's a doctor, a female doctor. And you are a student. Sei uno studente, or studentessa if I'm talking to a woman, but sei, right? I'm using that sei. I don't want you guys to worry too much about all this specific terminology that I'm using right now. I'm imagining to be surrounded by people who have different jobs and different names that have different qualities. I just want you to focus on the structure, the backbone of the language. So right now we're focusing on the verb to be, essere, on the forms sono, I am, sei, you are, è, he is or she is. And then if you need to say that he is an astronaut, you're going to learn the word for astronaut because it's relevant to you, but I don't want to take, too much time in this lesson to talk about every single word and compile a never-ending list of vocabulary. So just feel free to look up vocabulary as you go along because you're interested in it. Today we focus on the backbone. So we're using the verb to be to introduce ourselves, talk about our jobs, for example, so what our profession is. You can also talk about personal qualities. I would say about myself, sono simpatica. I am nice, simpatica, I'm using the feminine version because I'm a woman. Sono simpatica, I am nice or likable, relatable. Let's move on to the verb avere. Avere is the verb to have. And it is quintessential because I have, it's used to express the age or express needs such as I'm hungry. In Italian we don't say I am hungry, we say I have hunger, or we don't say I am thirsty, but I have thirst. The verb avere, let's conjugate it for the same three persons. Ho is I have. Ho 36 anni. I have 36 years, meaning I am 36 years old. I is you have. Hai fame. If I'm asking you, are you hungry? Do you have hunger? Hai fame. So, ho, I have, I, you have, and a for he or she. We are noticing that Maria is in a bad mood. I'm guessing that she's probably hungry. So we would say ha fame. She has hunger. Ha fame. Now, we might also want to say that we are not hungry or we are not a certain age. We are not tired. We are not Italian. So the negation is non, N-O-N, non. And it always, always, always goes before the verb. So in English you say, I don't want, you're putting the negation before, but with the verb to be, for example, I am not, You will put it afterwards. In Italian, it doesn't matter. No matter what verb you use, you need to put non before if you're negating that verb. For example, non ho fame. I don't have hunger. Non ho fame. Non sono francese. I am not French. Non sono francese. Sono italiana. If I want to inquire with you and ask, are you tired? Tired, stanco. Sei stanco? You notice how to ask a question in Italian, I'm always changing intonation. So if it's a statement, sei stanco. Boom, that's what I noticed, I'm telling you, sei stanco. If I'm asking you, sei stanco, the order of the words do not change, I'm only changing the intonation. Now, what if I want to ask, aren't you tired? Because you should be. We had a super long day walking around in Rome and it's hot. You should be tired, but for some reason you're energetic. So I'm asking you, aren't you tired? The negation goes before the verb once more. Non sei stanco? Non sei stanco? Or if I'm addressing a woman, non sei stanca? Okay, now let's move on to the verb stare, another quintessential Italian verb. Stare, to stay. Stare is super important because when we're asking someone, how are you, in Italian, we're actually asking them, how do you stay? So it's used right off the gate there. You're saying hi, you're introducing yourself, and you're asking, how are you? Third sentence, you already need to know the verb stare, to stay. I stay is sto, sto. Sto bene. I stay well, meaning I'm well. Sto bene. Stai bene? Are you well? Do you stay well? Stai bene? I'm raising the voice, so I'm asking a question. And now I'm inquiring about Luigi. Sta bene? Is he okay? Is he feeling well? Sta bene? Or I'm telling you, don't worry, he is fine. Sta bene. He stays well. Sta bene. So we have sto, stai, sta. When it comes to verbs for today, we're not going to introduce any more. We're just going to stick to essere, avere, and stare. But I want to encourage you guys to notice there is a certain thread here. For the first person, for the io, the I person, have you noticed how all these verbs, sono, ho, sto, they all end in o? Let's put a pin there, okay? That's just something that we start noticing so that in the future, we don't have to memorize pages upon pages of conjugation if you start noticing these patterns. When it comes to tu, the familiar you, the single person that you're addressing directly, then you have sei, I, stai. We'll always have that E sound at the end, spelled with the letter I. Once more, I don't want to get into the nitty-gritty of conjugations right now. I'm just encouraging you guys to start noticing the patterns. Okay, now that we know how to conjugate the verb stare, to stay, we can also ask someone, how do you stay? How are you? How in Italian is come. So I will ask you, come stai? How are you? Come stai? Literally, how do you stay? And then you can respond, sto bene. Or what about not feeling well, not feeling 100% that day, then you will put the negation before. Non sto bene. Non sto bene. Come sta Marisa? How is Marisa? How does she stay? Come sta Marisa? And you can respond, sta bene. The last thing I want to equip you with for today is how to say there is and there are. Because sometimes you're just so stunned and surprised by all the beauty and all the amazing things that you're seeing in Italy that you just want to point like a kid and saying, wow, there is this, there are those things. And so the way we go about it is using the verb to be, of course, preceded by there, ci. There is. The verb to be, the is person is è. Ci è becomes c'è. We contract. C'è. So if you're walking around Rome and you see a beautiful monument, you can point at it and saying, c'è la Fontana di Trevi, c'è il Colosseo. You're in Milan, c'è il Duomo. Let's go see it. Ci, there, when you pair it with sono, means there are. Ci sono. I know guys, you're about to ask me, wait a second, but sono, isn't that the way you say I am? It's also the way you say they are. So, sono is I am, but ci sono, there are. Ci sono molti ristoranti. There are many restaurants. Okay, so just to recap real quick, today we've seen the greetings, ciao, buongiorno, buonasera. We've seen the verb to be, essere, sono, sei, è. We've seen the verb to have, avere. I have is ho, I, ha. Then we've seen the verb stare, to stay, sto, stai, sta. We've seen how to ask, how are you? Come stai? Or how is she or how is he? Come sta? We've seen how to ask questions just by modifying the intonation. Sto bene. This is a statement. Sto bene? This is a question. Am I okay? Sto bene? Sì, sto bene. No worries, guys. We've seen the negation, non, and how it goes always before the verb. Non sono, non ho fame, I'm not hungry. Non sono stanca, I am not tired. And lastly, we've covered there is and there are, c'è and ci sono. We are going to use them in our next lesson. Well, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed the first part of this Essential Italian Toolkit and that you will be back for more next week. In the meantime, take a moment to like this video, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and feel free to leave me a comment below. Use some of these expressions, practice, really start practicing the elements that we covered today. Go, have fun with it. I'll see you next time. Ciao, a presto!